When her memories from what was called her past life returned to her, she felt as if her life partner had died. She cried, murmuring that it was too cruel, that it could not be. She would never again be able to eat her favorite hamburger, beef bowl, or ramen. And then 5 years later, her mother runs into the kitchen, furious. She is frying again in the deep fryer. No. No way. Mother had told her 1,000,000 times that it could not continue like this. Oil and firewood are expensive. She says that at least she must know how to prepare snacks. It is part of her preparation as a bride. Mother replies that only nobles and kings eat snacks, and then it becomes clear to her whose bride she is being prepared to be. She reminds her, besides, she is already 15 and she has no prospects at all. She adds. She admits Mother is right, the bride preparation was just an excuse. Even in her previous life as an adult, she never did anything like that. Once in times of plenty, she hid in food, and now the dishes of this world seem a bit bland to her. There is one thing she values above the search for love, a goal she has carried within since the day her memories returned. Even if those memories do not exist in this world, she decided to recreate them herself. She will meet the food from her previous life again as long as she still breathes. In those 5 years, she managed to recreate several dishes and several seasonings. Her search for taste has no end, so she plans to live the rest of her life at someone else's expense. In fact, she just means that she plans to live with her parents and keep cooking. A sudden knock echoes through the room. The head of the royal palace stands at the threshold. Jilly rushed to greet the guest in their greasy little home so hard she almost knocked her mother down. He probably noticed that this lady seems to have some business with her, but what could such a refined person want? The woman smiled and said she had heard that she supposedly liked to cook unusual dishes. Shirley shyly admitted that she had asked her parents and neighbors to try some of her preparations if that was exactly what she meant. The head maid, although she understood that it might seem cheeky, still asks her to do something for herself. Shirley asks right now and says, "Ah." She sadly says that, unfortunately, she has run out of ingredients, but Mom sharply replies not to lie, reminding that just a minute ago she was cooking something. This also includes the fact that she cools in the well behind. In a moment she serves the dish with pouted lips, her head sculpted from. Looks closely and asks, "What is this?" Shirley answers, "These are potato chips." Potato chips? First, thinly slice the potatoes and soak the slices in salted water. Then, after making sure they are really dry, fry them. When everything is ready, season them, sprinkle with salt immediately. It seems like a simple snack, but the taste can change drastically. It all depends on how dry the slices are, how long they were fried, and how thick they were cut. In fact, you really need to pay close attention to the details here. The head maid asks how to eat this. Shirley encourages her, "Take it with your hands, bite, you must feel the crunch." The head maid picks one up and bites. It is clear she likes it. One turns into another, and soon she has eaten everything. "This is actually very tasty," she says. "Is this potato?" The taste is nothing like any she knows. Shirley explains that in this kingdom potatoes are usually steamed or boiled. The head maid picks up her words and asks if she has been to another kingdom. The question makes her shudder with shock. She imagines a wanted poster with her face nailed to every wall of the kingdom, and she instantly blurts out, "No, she hasn't done that. That's not at all what she meant. Because her father is a merchant, she just heard rumors about interesting dishes from other places." The senior maid says, "Either way, that was quite an interesting dish," then points to another and asks, "What is this?" Shirley answers, "This is the king of all treats, flan. It is a dish made from eggs, sugar, and milk, steamed delicate and trembling like jelly. In this world it is quite easy to reproduce, but the ingredients are no longer as cheap as in her past life. Moreover, there is nothing more convenient here than a refrigerator. If she is careless, all those expensive ingredients will simply spoil, and she cannot believe how luxurious her life was." The head maid asks Shirley, "Did you make this too?" She replies something like that. She knows she is lying, but what can you do if she doesn't lie? Everything will get complicated. She apologizes to whoever invented flan in her past life. She imagines it was some barren flan or something like that. She lightly stabs the dish with a spoon and asks if these are just eggs that have solidified. Shirley says, "At the bottom caramel, let's eat it together." 1. After the first bite, a smile lit up on her face. She says it's wonderful, it just melts in her mouth. Pleasant sweetness remained on her lips, she can read. It is clear how much effort was put into this. This time she smiles, the compliment is clearly for her. The head maid then asks why such a combination, sweet flan and some salty potato thing. She thinks they don't really match. Shirley tells her she is completely wrong. This is the most powerful combination. Sweet, soft flan and fragrant, salty potato chip, precisely because they are opposites. It works. Eating them together allows each to reveal the best in the other and opens limitless flavor possibilities, and therefore, why they should be partners. The proposal to cook in the royal palace. Suddenly, as if from nowhere, it appeared, and just as instantly Shirley waved it off. Mother shouts, "What is she saying?" and adds, "Doesn't she understand how rude it is to refuse the palace's offer?" But the head maid insists she is merely a palace worker and will do nothing because she simply refuses. She became curious, why isn't cooking in the palace the highest honor? When Shirley hesitated, she was told to answer honestly and not care about anyone, and she simply blurted out, "I cook only for myself." For her, since she cooks for her own pleasure, serving in the royal palace seems wrong. The head servant simply says what she sees but thinks to herself, she will never be able to explore her own dishes more deeply, and cooking should be only for her, for herself, and only for her. Just as Shirley begins to refuse, the boss made a cut. What a pity. In the palace, she could use the best kitchenware and generous ingredients and explore new dishes as much as her heart desires. So Shirley quickly tells Madame Claire that she wants to work in the palace immediately, and therefore she started working in the royal palace. She felt sorry for her mom and dad, but if it meant she could cook exactly what she wanted, she would sell her soul to the devil. On the way, Madden told Claire that first they needed to do something. Meanwhile, the prince tells Lord Miles that he has considered his request to raise taxes but must object. This hits people's lives hard, but Miles insists, if you are too lenient, people will become spoiled and complacent. Besides, there is no guarantee that invaders won't come from somewhere. Shouldn't resources be gathered and preparations made for such a case? But the prince decisively proclaims, the kingdom's people should not be subjected to excessive suffering. Shirley froze, stunned, when she saw the prince. He addressed Lord Miles, if you exhaust the people with your tricks, you will exhaust the entire kingdom. Leave immediately. Madame Claire tells Shirley that he is Prince William. His father fell ill, and at only 10 years old he now rules the kingdom in his place. Shirley noticed that he almost had no expression on his face. Madame Claire tells Shirley that she should consider serving him. Shirley asked so when she said she would cook in the palace. Madame Claire interrupted her. The main dishes for the royal family are prepared by chefs, and preparing snacks for the princess is her responsibility. For this, she recruited young women who know how to make treats and makes them work hard every day. She turns to her and exclaims, from today there will definitely be snacks. She will prepare them for the prince. So one more. So she prepares snacks for the prince and gets paid for it, and then conducts her experiments with other people's money. The best side job in the world. She notices other maids nearby. Maybe just ask them what treats the prince likes, but suddenly she freezes. The smell of something freshly baked reaches her nose. Suddenly she finds herself in the kitchen, her mouth open in surprise. The kitchen is huge, bustling with people. Here even a stove and a refrigerator. Madame Claire tells her that they were created by the court witch and asks others how she knows how to use them. She replies that this is exactly what she dreamed of. Madame Claire asks everyone to drop what they are doing and gather here. She informs them that a newcomer starts working today and says, they say Shirley should introduce herself. She smiles and warmly greets everyone. Everyone frowns in her direction, and a thought creeps into her mind. Is she not welcome here? The maid stepped forward and declared that all teams are already full. Another maid is not needed. Shirley believes that everyone already has their own friends, so her wariness of the new stranger is quite natural. The senior chambermaid reassures them, don't worry, I will manage my own team. They look at her with distrust until one bursts out, having your own team is an honor given to those recognized after tireless work under their master's guidance. How can a newcomer just declare they have their own team? Madame Claire casts a piercing look at her and asks if she is contradicting her. When she tries to speak, she drowns out Jacqueline. She tells them that she personally found Shirley Albera and can create unique dishes. She will not accept any objections. She turns to her with an innocent face as if pondering how everything will be for her after this. Madame Claire then asks if anyone wishes to voluntarily help Shirley. No one dared, so she chose herself, telling herself this would be a great opportunity for her. Then she turned back. Turns to Shirley and tells her to ask if she has any questions before leaving. Jacqueline throws her anger at her and says, they say she bursts in here without warning and pretends to be important. What's wrong with her? Maybe she's some famous chef. Shirley smiles and says she's just a girl from a small town who cooks for pleasure. Suddenly the head maids came to her and invited her to work in the palace, so here she is. Jacqueline shouted, why does the head maid personally watch over some girl from a small town? Shirley replied that she would like to know that herself. Another maid steps forward and tells her to stop. She does not have No one can imagine what is going through the head housemaid's mind, but out of simple politeness she should introduce herself. Turning back to Shirley, she smilingly calls herself Christiana and adds that she is the leader of Team 1. She also asks Shirley to call them her older sisters. Shirley thinks that really happens, it's not so bad. Calling her little sister, she says, and she understands. Although she may be mute, she looks forward to working with them. Christiana understands that she meant new, wishes her luck, and then, turning to the maids, orders them to return to their places, leaving them in awkward silence. She finally breaks the silence and says that she has been here only half a year. She also calls her older sister, but the aunt says, no need for formalities, just call her, everything is fine. Shirley calls her inside, warns that she may be difficult, and mutters to lie about that part next time. Then she glances at the clock and tells her that it's almost time for a snack they need to prepare. Shirley is already drooling and frowning, mutters not for them. She tells Shirley to listen carefully. Their task is to fit everything into the prince's snack time. Calling it a battlefield is exactly what suits the girls from the snack bar. Later he greets His Highness, addressing him as young master. Shirley muttered young master, then explained that it is customary for maids to address him that way. Then they introduce the maids to each other. Sasher is served to the young master. It is a cake from the kingdom, in which dried fruits are added to the dough made of flour, eggs, and butter, among other things. By the way, here it is called Sasher. She has no idea what it was called in her past life. It crumbles so much that you can hardly eat it without a drink. Sasher, 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 Sasher. Billy stands and watches as sashers are brought to him one after another, and the thought bursts out, this is too much even for one person. It occurs to her, could it be because, by custom, too much food is always prepared for people of high status? Madame Claire asks the young master if he wants anything else. He replies 2 additional plates of the dish from Team 1, leaving. He walks away, clearly stunned by how much he is eating. Later. But the maid sighs and says that he ate little again today. It's terrible. Earlier he asked for 5 more plates. Shirley listens to them with disbelief. The girl mutters that he ate only half of their treat. They are pathetic. Shirley wonders, is it because of that fruit mixture? Probably they should have chosen even better ones. Suddenly Jacqueline appears, calls her a newbie, and with a smile says she bets she wonders why only Saker is served here, and that she, the leader of Team 4, can tell her about it. Shirley replied, in that case please be the older sister, but Jacqueline retorts, don't call me that, I would feel terrible if I were your younger sister. She admits that Saker was the favorite snack of the young lord's mother, that is, the queen consort. Shirley begins, if I remember correctly, but Jacqueline immediately interrupts her, yes, she died 6 months ago. The king loved her immensely, and from the pain he fell into despair himself, so the young ruler had to govern the kingdom, and she thinks that is when he stopped smiling. That is why Saker is always served in memory of Her Majesty. Fragile pastries, no. This is not to Shirley's liking. She prefers moist cupcakes like these. Simply put, Saker is not her thing at all. When she is served Saker, she smiles and thinks maybe she doesn't like it, but her rule is simple, eat what is put in front of her. Shirley chews the food and is surprised. It turns out to be very tasty. Jacqueline, however, is unimpressed and says that it doesn't even come close to her older sister from the first team, Christiana. Shirley, still chewing, responds with an admiring wow and indifferently takes more, and Jacqueline snapped at her, asking who allowed her to take so much, but he, not at all confused, simply asks if there is tea. Jacqueline sharply grumbled that no one had brought tea, but immediately began complaining that it was unfair to ask someone to properly evaluate the food without a drink, and added that if she really wanted feedback, tea should have been brewed right away. This angered Jacqueline. She ran in here and slapped a cup of tea in front of her and then her backside. She asks if Shirley really believes she can create something so wonderful, reminding her that the young gentleman is a true gourmet. He doesn't eat just anything, so I wish her luck. Fortunately for her, Jacqueline steps away. Shirley considers herself unique. She does not hate her and suddenly thinks, I think about the young gentleman. Although he is a gourmet, not a single muscle moved on his face during the snack. Later in the kitchen, she offers to cook something and says she would like to see Shirley in action, but Shirley is too absorbed with the cocoa beans she found. Vinan asks if she is even listening. Shirley falls silent for a moment, still surprised where they got them from, then says they probably got them from the palace gardens. Garden behind the palace, where rare ingredients grow from seeds collected all over the world. Puzzled, Shirley mutters, "Garden witch," then explains that she uses magic to grow fruits and vegetables. There are witches working in the palace, and Shirley froze with admiration. She knew witches existed, but that they made refrigerators and stoves was a real wonder. Then they say there is a more important matter, whether she can even make saker. She honestly admits she has never done it before, but before that, he tells her that she will learn nothing until she tries. They have to do everything they can. In a week, snack time begins. Lady CL. Claire informs the prince that from today a new team is participating in the competition, Shirley's team. Shirley steps forward, introduces herself as the leader of Team 5, and proudly says that it is an honor for her to serve him, and hopes that he will eat it, reminding herself that they have been training all this time. It can't be bad. 5 days have passed. For the first 4 he ate at least one every day, and on the 5th, that day he finally stopped eating from their plate, probably. It seems they wanted to say that what they did is not even worth trying. Jacqueline called her an idiot and snapped, "Didn't I tell you, pack your things and leave already?" Shirley left, saying this to clear her head. Every day she has to bake a cake she doesn't like, and the prince doesn't even eat it. She has to throw everything away, and she is tormented by guilt all the time. She spends most of the day working as a maid at making saker. She doesn't even have time to prepare anything for herself, and besides, her colleagues avoid her. Finally, as if gathering courage, she decided to grab her things and leave, but only. Since then, Madame Claire approaches and calls her. She admits that she seems not to understand why she brought her here, and he asks her where her value lies. Her task is to do everything so that the prince enjoys the snack. She thinks the chef personally found some girl from the province. That's because she loved to cook unusual dishes. She mumbles, "What am I even doing?" and rushes back to the kitchen. She returned to the kitchen and asked for help. She wants to try something. Later, they both look like they haven't slept for several days, so others ask if they are okay, and Shirley declares that she is perfectly fine, so much so that she could run around the palace 100 times. When snack time came, someone nervously asked Shirley if they had done everything they could, and she calmly replied that everything would be fine. She was sure of it. And right then Madame Claire calls Team 5 to present their dish. The SSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSSS smile. He looked at the plate and asked, "What is this?" Confidently replies, "This is tricolor bread." Jacqueline, noticeably irritated, mumbles that she is serving not saker, but something else. What is she doing? The young gentleman pointed upwards and asked what that thing on the surface was, and Shirley said it was a smiley. He looks at it for a moment, smiles, and asks how he should eat it. She replies that however he likes each part has a different sensation, so he can enjoy them all. After biting, he mumbled, "What is this? This is delicious." Her eyes instantly lit up, a spark of genuine admiration spread across her face, and she tells him that the piece the young gentleman ate was filled with chocolate cream. One day, when she decided to serve something other than saker, she bet everything on chocolate, what she loves with all her heart. Cocoa, the main ingredient of chocolate, is quite nutritious. They say in her past life the nobility put it in salads, and in this world where cocoa has not yet been turned into chocolate, she does the same. She decided to do it herself, but first of all, preparation. First, roast the beans in the shell, and as soon as the shell comes off, easily remove it and take out what is inside. After that, the beans need to be pounded again and again in a mortar. It was the hardest task. The cocoa beans stubbornly refused to turn into a fine enough powder, and if lumps remained, the texture was spoiled, especially when trying to make chocolate cream. The two of them worked for hours and hours, even at night, feeling like servants being whipped because they really were servants of chocolate. After somehow achieving the desired uniformity, they placed the mixture on a water bath. When it became nicely thick, they added a lot of sugar. All that was left was to put it in a container and place it in the refrigerator to cool. Then they cut and melted that chocolate, mixing it with cream made from milk and adding butter. Thus the chocolate cream they used was made. In her past life, Shirley once made chocolate from cocoa and still remembers that thought, never again. The prince gladly takes another bite and says that the moist bread goes wonderfully with the filling. He admits that it is really tasty and reminds her that she said other parts have different fillings. She smiles, advises him to try them to find out what is inside, but he does not. He does it and says it is tasty too. That smiling little face inside is filled with custard. Making this sweet thing was much easier than chocolate. It requires a certain technique, but this is her element. He tried. She tries the next layer and exclaims that this one is tasty too. It's homemade strawberry jam that she brought with her, and she specifically opened the best one. Each of them by itself was incredibly delicious chocolate bread, a bun with custard, and a bun with jam. All of them were pastries she madly loved in her previous life, and the miracle pastry that combined all three was called the three-colored bread. William quickly emptied the plate and looked up at her, saying that it was all gone, and there was only one. She smiles and assures him that there is more, hurriedly runs to bring another, and he meanwhile chews. He chews, clearly enjoying it, says that it is incredibly tasty, and he likes the black filling the most. For the first time, she was so touched she always thought that food existed only for her. But as soon as she saw his smile, Madame Claire asked the young gentleman if he wanted anything today. He replied that he was fine today. Then she turns to Shirley and says that she prepared quite an interesting dish today, and asks her what made her decide that way. She shudders but quickly composes herself. She answered herself the dish she served today is special to her. She wanted the young master to try it too, and if possible, to enjoy the time here in the company of many different flavors. For this, she put her whole self into its creation. Madame Claire says that this is a good way of thinking. It gives the eternally busy young gentleman a wonderful time for a snack. William looks at her as if asking who she is. She, with a radiant smile, replies that she is the leader of Team 5. Her name is Shirley, and then he adds. He asks if she can serve the same thing tomorrow, Shirley. They freeze as if caught suddenly, and with the same horror look at the very thought, already imagining all that exhausting grind they will have to endure. Completely unsuspecting, he thanks them with a barely noticeable smile and says he is looking forward to it. When he left, all the maids swarmed him with questions. What was that? What did the two of them allow themselves? The young master even smiled, and Jacqueline burst into tears. Why wasn't Saker served? It was unfair. Suddenly he turns to Anne and says he is leaving, and then she rushed from the crowd, squeezed through others to catch up with Madame Claire. She tells her that this is exactly what she intended from the start, to serve something different and break the habit of always serving Saker. Madame Saker, 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 Saker. Madame Claire whispers to himself, keep it to yourself, and reveals it. Suddenly it becomes clear, the young master is actually indifferent to Saker. She notes he eats so much of it. She admits he adored snack time with the queen, but their tastes did not match at all. The young master preferred moist pastries. Someone really asks why he said something. It's his snack time after all. She replies that he did not want to offend the hard work and dedication of the maids. To say that he does not want Saker is almost like denying the memory of Her Majesty. You can't just say that, and she wouldn't be able to either, since she knows how much effort the maids put in. Madame Claire admits she thought she would immediately be able to serve what she liked without worrying about anything, but she was wrong. When Madame Claire turns away, Shirley makes faces behind her back and thinks bitterly, is that how this old hag sees her? But as soon as Madame Claire looks back, Shirley instantly straightens up. Madame Claire calmly says she hopes she will continue to make the young master's snack time cheerful. Shirley beams and promises to remember that, and so her real life as a servant in the palace began. That life would truly become a battlefield, this event. The accident happened 3 days after she served the tricolor bread. Late at night, carrying a lantern through the quiet corridors, she suddenly felt a man rush up to her and snatch something. He pulls out a knife from behind. A knight shouts that he is a thief and starts chasing after him. The man dashed away and disappeared into the shadows, and she stumbled and fell to the ground. Knight settled beside her and asks if everything is all right. He thanks him, gently takes her hand and helps her up, then looks at her and asks what she is doing at this hour. She says that she was preparing a crepe as a snack for the young lord. The knight admits that it was that. They confess that it was their fault, sincerely apologized for the uninvited guest getting in here, and promised. She promises to catch him as soon as possible, but still calls after him, asking his name. He answers Lawrence. He is the captain of the Cheval Recorder. She politely bows and says that her name is Shirley, a new maid in the palace. She will repay him someday. He smiles and says that she is truly unusual, and she suddenly wonders, did she say something strange? The next morning, Anne is stunned and asks her if she is serious, saying that Sir Lawrence is a young, skilled captain of the order, and says that if she were in her place and met him at such a fateful moment, she would have clung to him and burned it into her memory forever. Jacqueline at that moment rushed forward and exclaimed that she cannot believe it. She saw Sir Lawrence earlier this morning, so today is already a good day. Her gaze fell on Team 5 and she asked if they were preparing that thing again. Shirley replied that yes, supposedly. Chocolate really takes an insanely long time to prepare, and asked if she could help her. Instead, she will teach her how to make chocolate, but that is an insult. Defender Jacqueline sharply replied that she will teach her nothing valuable, let her keep that disgusting black stuff. And she scolds her, saying that you can't just go around teaching people how to make chocolate. Shirley insists that they are already on the edge, doesn't she think so, too? By themselves, they won't endure much longer, if only they asked for help from our older sisters, but she is immediately interrupted. She really thinks they will pay them at least a minute of attention, but... And then she suddenly shifts the conversation to that uninvited guest from that night and says that, it turns out, guards will be standing during the snack today. During the snack, Lawrence stands right behind the prince, and when he notices Shirley, he quietly whispers, "That's the one from last night," then gently asks if she slept well. She politely bows and thanks him courteously, leaving everyone around stunned and silently disbelieving. Madame Claire announced, "Today's snack is starting. Snack time, mostly various kinds of bread, here all a bit moist." After that incident, everyone switched to this. For her, this is not a problem at all. He hands him chocolate horns. He likes it, he exclaims, "How sweet this is, what a reference." In the mouth, Slingers is the sweetness of great chocolate with notes of small pieces of bread, but the longer you eat, the more the bread dominates, a real trickster among baked goods. She also wants to eat it. Suddenly she notices that Lawrence is also looking at them. The prince asks her if he wants it too. But Lawrence replies that he wouldn't even dare, won't disturb his meal, and he doesn't like sweets anyway. The girls are clearly impressed by his words, quietly whispering among themselves, and she seems to just look at him with a strange expression on her face. Later, she approaches Madame Claire and sincerely confesses that she would like to start preparing snacks for the soldiers. She smiles and says that as a token of gratitude for their hard work during the castle search, she would like to cheer them up with something sweet. Madame Claire says that they probably need to thank those who helped her during that incident, but there are hundreds of soldiers in the castle. Will she manage to prepare so many while also making a snack? Shirley knows well that many soldiers have gathered in the castle for various reasons, and feeding them all by herself is a real challenge. She tells Madame Claire that if she had intervened and helped, maybe they would have managed. But the head sighed and noted that it really sees only what is right in front of it, and that it will tell everything. All the maids will help, of course. She barely utters, "I can't ask my older sisters for something like that." Madame Claire says that all the maids are in the same boat. Save one, save them all. Saved and already an outcast, she should seize this chance and get closer to the sisters. Madame Claire stepped away, and Shirley found herself alone with her thoughts. She remembered how Jacqueline sharply told her that she had nothing valuable to teach, and did she really think anyone would pay her even a minute of attention? Shirley sighed and thought how nice it would be if she were at least accepted as a friend. She is a maid. Later, one of the maids asks if the dough's texture is correct, another checks the size of the mold, and she reads. And then she realizes all those fears turned out to be completely unfounded. However, Jacqueline looks angry. She does not understand why she has to help her. However, Clara, the leader of the second team, says that they are comrades, so doing this from time to time is not so bad, and Barville, the leader of the third, adds that he has long been interested in what she does, and this is a good opportunity to steal some of her techniques. Jacqueline shouts that there is no need to steal her secrets. Her sweets are much better than anything Shirley makes. Her tricks are strange, and that's that, but Avril replies, "If it makes the young master happy, then it is right, because this is their job." Christiana turns to Shirley and tells her that she has little experience in deep frying. In this kingdom there are snacks cooked in oil. Culinary oils have been used by people since ancient times, but for the nobility, the standard was always pastries and steamed dishes. Fried snacks were not common in the palace. Smiling, she turns back to Christiana and decides to be the first to show her how it is done. Shirley, frying dough in boiling oil, leans over and asks, "Already ready?" She answers, "Not yet. It will have to wait until it cools down." When it is ready, Shirley insists that they try it. She is proud. They shout loudly, "This is a donut," and when each bites, an excited buzz fills the room. Christiana advises next time to make the dough more evenly moist because the trick in frying is to keep it fluffy. Everyone agrees. How light it is, much better than something thick and heavy. Another maid adds it tastes like a sin, and she is sure it will work when they get tired. Shirley thought they quickly caught the essence. As they said, the main attraction of the donut is its fluffy texture. Crumbly ones are also good, but for her this is the perfect donut. She smiles and tells them that this is quite enough. The most important thing is for the donut to rest and for you to carefully watch the time and temperature of frying. Shirley bows and thanks them for their help. She counts on everyone. Avril giggles and says that sugar stuck to her face. Chatter fills the space again. Then Christiana. Anna approaches Lawrence and his knights, apologizing for disturbing them during the break, but sincerely thanks them for the hard work they have done over the past few days. This is a small token of gratitude from all the maids. She reminds her that he recently saved one of their maids and is still tirelessly searching for the intruder. Maybe it is not much, but they hope he will like it. After thanking her, Lawrence addressed his men and said, "They have worked so hard for you, be grateful." They eat to their fill, savoring every piece. One of them admits that he usually does not like sweets, but this is incredibly tasty. Another cannot believe that the maids made this for them and wonders if this is really normal. He's so glad he became a soldier. They say American police officers love donuts. This is her image, at least. She is glad it turned out the same, but her real goal is right here. She approaches Lawrence. He looks exhausted at her appearance, and she thanks him very much for what happened the other day. She knows that sweets are not to his liking, but still insists that he try at least one. He suddenly exclaims that he probably could. Knights usually don't need sweets, but when she just offered, someone at that moment shouted, "Got it." An uninvited guest is sitting on the beam above the observation deck. His behavior changed instantly. He sharply ordered his men to surround the tower and not let him escape. How untimely, she muttered. After that, the soldier successfully detained the offender and returned triumphantly. They ate all the donuts. It seems the culprit turned out to be a famous thief, and she only prays that he gets rid of his thirst for risk. So be it. Well, whatever the matter was, everything was fine, again. She approaches Lawrence again. He, being responsible, is up to his ears in interrogations and similar matters, so he didn't even turn around to eat a single donut. She hands him a cup of coffee. He hands him a small basket of donuts and quietly says that he hadn't had time to eat anything earlier. She notices that these are completely different from the previous ones, so she explains that she tried to recreate donuts from a famous chain and proudly says that she is proud of them. First he looks surprised, but then shakes his head and says, "No, I'll refrain." Knights reluctantly eat sweets. She smiles slyly. He works and repeats, but they do not. She notices he has a bit of sugar on his face. She makes him freeze, but he quickly wipes it off. She notes that he loves sweets so much that he used to lick sugar from his palm earlier, so why is he hiding it? He admits that his father is very strict. A knight must be exactly like that. He always said that sweet words are especially forbidden on. And he is also the captain of the order, must preserve the dignity and appearance of knights, but she interrupted him, touching his lips with a finger, and said to let her know if he ever wants something sweet she will prepare it. He asks why is she willing to go so far for him. She answers that there are two reasons. One, of course, to thank him for saving him. He asks, and what is the second? She winked at him and said that he is also a sweet tooth, so they have to help each other when they can. Men who love sweets often try to hide it, and she has seen this many times in her past life. But denying oneself what one wants is simply pointless, so she shared a little. That's how it is. They quickly hid behind the bushes and watch him eat, clearly enjoying every bite, and indeed. Quietly watching him, she begins to understand why all the maids lose their heads over him. Then he smiles crookedly and says that she is truly unusual. From that day on, she will never be able to understand why all the maids go crazy over him. Since then, she silently called him the Donut Knight. He feels as if she has done something good. And those donors she made for him, she made for herself too, of course. She has the same things that someone so appetizingly savored right in front of her, waiting in her room. Suddenly she felt someone tug her apron, turned around, and a prince was standing before her. She almost jumps and blurts out, "Why, young sir?" He looks at her indifferently and says he heard that she was treating the soldiers with snacks. When maids prepare snacks not for a member of the royal family, it is like giving something royal to a person of lower rank. Now that she remembers it, it seems to her that she should have asked his permission, and she fears she might be fired. He pouts in surprise and asks, "Where is my share?" And in the advertisement, they said it was some fluffy thing with a hole, something they had never seen before. It's unfair. Eventually, she leads him to her room, and he gladly eats the donuts she saved for herself. The prince also asks what the hole is for, and she replies that probably it is so everything fries evenly. Heat is harder to reach the center. He shakes his head. How strange to say that. Wasn't she the one who created it? She can only give her usual excuse. Supposedly, her father is a merchant, so she heard a rumor about a snack that looked like that. Watching how William eats, she thought, maybe the reason she had to give up her secret stash is karma for repeatedly resorting to this lie. Again, but suddenly, to her surprise, he extended the other one and offered to eat together. She insists that everything is fine, but then takes it from him and exclaims, "Thank you." She likes it. A satisfied expression blossomed on her face. She loves them when they are freshly made. The sugar on the surface goes perfectly with the bread, but she also likes them when they have cooled a bit. The prince will. He warns her that this must not leave this room. It would cause a problem if someone found out he snacked in one of the maids' rooms before dinner, and she exclaims, of course, young master. In a playful whisper, he raises a finger to his lips and says, "This is our little secret." Later that night in the kitchen, Jacqueline stood looking at the cocoa beans, thinking to herself that without them, probably nothing would have happened. This event happened a week after the fuss with the donuts, and it looked. She was horrified and blurted out that this cannot be everything. All the cocoa was gone, now they won't be able to make any chocolate, probably. Billy froze in shock. There should have been 3 large bags left, but Jacqueline said that she used them all, the team. Team 5 looked at her in shock, so she asked, "Why that look?" Added that the ingredients are meant for everyone and it shouldn't be a problem, and she knew she was right. Correct, the cocoa was not only for them, but she wondered if she did it against them. She exclaimed that now without cocoa beans they won't be able to make chocolate, and everyone will see that Team 5 is no match for Team 4. And with that she rushed away, laughing like a cartoon villain, as if she herself understood, this is straight out of a manga. She already knew that she didn't like her, but didn't think it was that bad. She gently comforts the one who looks traumatized, then asks her if she knows where the cocoa came from, and thinks that she was raised by a witch in the palace gardens. They enter the garden and freeze, stunned by the dozens of different plants growing there. Ignoring the words that she shouldn't enter, she still rushed inside only. And all she gets is a sharp reprimand. She can't just burst in. The witch steps forward, frowning. Someone probably wonders if she is an assistant, but then spits words, calls her a fool, and says she is the garden witch. The witch says that she hasn't seen her here before. Is she new? Shirley suddenly blurts out to introduce herself and extends a basket, saying they baked something or something like that. Later they sit next to each other and talk casually. The witch introduced herself as Agath, a court witch. Shirley politely introduces herself, and Anne says she is glad to meet them, addresses her as Madam Witch, but Agath quickly, "Just call me Agath," she says. Then she asks what they are missing. Shirley starts to explain, not naming the thing very precisely, but Agath asks to wait a second, "Let me finish this first. This jam is really tasty," and she sees that she finally used her strawberries well. Later she leads them to the garden and they explain that they are making a snack with cocoa, and Agath admits she can't even imagine what that is. They say they will bring some as soon as they make it again. It is really very tasty and, of course, even more amazing than it seems. But suddenly the witch freezes. Only now she remembers that cocoa is usually not available in the kingdom, and what is grown here will be ready for harvest only in a few months. She panics and asks her, "Can't you use your powers and do something?" Agath tells her, "Keep dreaming, maybe she is a witch, but she doesn't have such strange powers." She slides to the ground and mutters, "So it will actually take a few months." Shirley thinks they will have to come up with another treat. She asks Agath if they can walk a little more in the garden, and Agath gives a thumbs up and says, "Of course." Agath notices that rare plants are usually brought to this garden. Shirley muttered that it is not here, glanced at her and asked what was wrong, but sh. At first she quickly waved it off, nothing, but suddenly her eyes widened and she exclaimed, "Here it is, tomatoes." This ingredient was familiar in her past life, but here she had not seen it even once. She began to think that in this world it does not exist at all, and Agath says that she herself is amazed because she touched it with bare hands. They look poisonous, so no one approaches. When she thought about it, she remembered that in her past life in Europe she heard people knew about tomatoes, but for a long time did not dare to eat them. She blurts out the same excuse. Supposedly, her father is a merchant. Agath thinks that this is how she realized they are not dangerous. Then she says she knows what to do and asks her if she intends to use it. She turns to her and replies, "Yes, that's the plan, but Agath says it won't work. The prince hates vegetables." And then probably they exchange glances. It must hurt the person who raised them when such wonderful vegetables are rejected. However, she is firmly against forcing someone to eat what they do not like, turning what should be a joyful moment into suffering. That is out of the question. She says that the ability to turn what is hated into something tasty is the secret power of those who cook. Agath mutters that she looks more like a witch than she does. Meanwhile, Jacqueline remembered how the maids said that both chocolate and donuts were a real hit throughout the castle, and they believed that Shirley was becoming some kind of mini-star. Christiana said that now all the praise goes to Team 5. They are on a completely different level than those from Team 4. One of the maids also wondered if Jacqueline would throw a tantrum if she asked to transfer to Team 5. Now she is standing right by the kitchen, eavesdropping on the enthusiastic words about that delicious sauce that was definitely made. Later, Madame Claire joyfully announces the start of today's snack, of course. Early, almost buzzing with excitement, hoping to serve her dish quickly before it cools down. As soon as her name is called, she steps forward and serves the dish still hot. "Hot dogs, Madame Claire?" Claire asks, "Can this really be called a snack?" Even before Shirley manages to answer, the prince interrupts he's fine with it and then interested points and asks, "And what is that red thing?" She replies that it is ketchup, a very versatile condiment. First boil the tomatoes and peel them, then chop them together with garlic and onions and mash to a liquid consistency. Then heat the mixture in a pot and add sugar, salt, pepper, bay leaf, and apple cider vinegar, which she made herself. And when the mixture starts to boil, reduce the heat and simmer until the liquid evaporates. That's all. Everyone's favorite ketchup is ready. This time it is the real star of the show. Shirley admits that this does not yet exist in our world, so her mission is to spread this news. The first step is to win over the young lord. Suddenly, Jacqueline bursts in, shouting at the young lord to stop his maid with the tomatoes. Prince was caught shocked, one of the maids. Maid's questions are not so poisonous, Jacqueline sharply accuses her of lying to the young master and trying to feed him vegetables, although she knew he hated them. Moreover, there are rumors that the ingredient contains poison, so she asks what is this supposed to mean. Shirley is worried if this continues, she will be suspected of attempted poisoning. She insists it is not poison, just a superstition, because the dish is made from a vegetable that Agate worked so hard to grow, and it is full of nutrients. But he whispered quietly, almost sadly, vegetable, the word. These words made Shirley freeze in shock. She is already trembling on the floor, and this is not good. She needs to do something. Madame Claire sighs, clearly disappointed, and tells Shirley to take it away. But Suddenly Shirley declares that she will now test it for poison. Everyone froze and looked at her. A heavy silence fell around when she suddenly grabbed the hot dog and without hesitation began to bite it. Sausages made from the finest pork crunch slightly with their casing, leading to juicy meat, and all this in the mouth blends with sweet ketchup and the weedy aroma of bread. This is true happiness. Having eaten the hot dog, Shirley exclaims that it is tasty and cheerfully says she will have another one. As soon as she stretched out her hand, the prince grabbed her wrist and whispered that it was enough, she didn't need to test him for poison. This time he takes the hot dog himself and without hesitation takes a bite. He pauses, clearly surprised, and exclaims that his is delicious. Is this really from a vegetable? She asks. He winks and confidently says yes, adding that he really likes this ketchup. She keeps a calm expression and smiles modestly, though inside she can barely contain her burst of joy. It seems she has handled this crisis and calls Jacqueline, demanding an explanation of what that was, but Jacqueline scoffs. She has a sharp tongue for a subordinate, and she sharply retorts that it doesn't matter. She went too far and that's enough. Shirley tries to calm everyone down, says everything is fine because it worked out, but someone refuses to back down and shouts that Shirley is too lenient and will not forgive this. She demands that someone call someone from the authorities, Christy. Stiana tries to intervene, but Jacqueline explodes with rage. How can everyone so readily accept Shirley? They worked so hard as maids with honor and status, and this ridiculous woman comes here with strange ingredients and does whatever she wants. And they outraged. She said it. Clara tells Jacqueline to stop this. Jacqueline asks Clara if she will accept her, and she thinks that from a person who shamelessly helped make these donuts, nothing else is to be expected. Stunned, Clara asks what she said. Jacqueline finally loses her composure and screams for her to shut up, shouting that someone like her is the last person she would ever trust. He shouted at Shirley to go away and leave their place, then stomped off. Shirley is convinced that she was not wrong about anything. The young master eats their strange new dishes every day. That means he stopped eating what the other teams serve. She overturned the very essence of this place. No wonder some of them hate her. And asks if she is okay, and Shirley suddenly remembers that she can no longer be gloomy. She is herself again. There is something she needs to do. She smiles. She smiles and says that everything is fine. She has a new idea. That's the end of our video for today. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you want another part. And watch how we really cook and comment. Today's dish is some kind of cheese bread, isn't it? Bread is the staple food in the kingdom. Problem is that she is not very good at doing it. That's the thing. Because she loves rice, but she found it nowhere. She silently wishes that rice would just appear if it were hiding somewhere. Here Anna's hand waved in front of her, pulling her out of her thoughts and calling her back, because she has to show her how it's done. This time Shirley will cook what everyone loves, pizza. She tells him to watch closely and start stretching the dough. Fold the edges just a little, put the ingredients on top, and meanwhile the sausages are cooking in a special ketchup sauce. She adds it just needs to be baked. After that, they bake the pizza. Pizza is everything. This is the hardest part. You need to know how strong different parts of the oven are or how intense the flame is. She strains to recall how those pizzaiolos did it on TV. Here is the story about Bob, that very pizza master. For 30 years he made pizza every day, and one day a shark attacked him and he never returned home. As soon as the pizza is ready, show it. Shirley, with a self-satisfied expression, declares that she definitely never heard about this, gives her a look as if she is crazy, and mutters that Shirley has already told the whole story. They each take a bite, probably delighted, and eat as if savoring pure bliss, that melting. Melted cheese and hot meat create the perfect harmony with the pizza sauce, and stop it. She trembles with pure delight and exclaims that it is incredible. Shirley thinks this is a perfectly normal reaction. Most people trying pizza for the first time react exactly like that. Then she takes another small bite and thinks that still something is missing. It is pizza, so of course tasty, but she doubts whether it baked a little unevenly and whether there are too many ingredients and cheese for that amount of dough. There's almost no taste. They generally do not add vegetables. Usually this would be more than enough. There are vegetables in the sauce and they sprinkle some on top. It became a bit poor because all this was removed for the young master. In the third slice she finally catches on. Someone noticed that Shirley was thoughtful and asked, "What happened? Is this not acceptable?" Shirley decisively replied, "Yes, I would never serve this to the young master in this form." And she muttered that it tastes good to her anyway, and in her thoughts Bob sighs with disappointment and wonders aloud whether this can even be called pizza. He claims that even his semi-senile neighbor would throw it out the window in outrage. Rage, she quickly takes a bite and mumbles apologies to Bob, confessing that she will have to try harder. Later the maids find them both hunched over in the kitchen. The air is filled with fatigue and sadness. Christiana steps forward and asks if she can try it. Shirley says please, and soon others join them as well. When Christiana takes the first bite, she exclaims that it is very tasty and asks if it is an appetizer. Shirley agrees with enthusiasm, but admits that something still seems to be missing. Christiana tears off a piece of dough and she eats it and says that, as she suspected, the dough is no good. But it clearly falls short compared to the other ingredients. Clara eats it and says that it is hard because it is cold. Christiana adds that she would like to eat it when it is hot. Then she turns to Shirley and offers to teach her how to bake bread. Shirley, looking surprised, asks if she will really do that. They both laugh at her reaction, and Clara says she will teach her a trick on how to regulate the temperature of that woman, adding that she has some cheese that melts faster. Several other girls linger in the corner, feeling like outcasts while Jacqueline stands silently confused, lost in memories of past events. When the girls prompt her again with instructions, she hesitates and quietly asks if they really don't mind. Teaches her everything. Christiana politely smiled and said that they should be the ones thanking her. Clara, winking mischievously, adds that she was the one who brought them together. The young gentleman smiles in response. A shadow of sadness flashed in Christiana's eyes as she admits how much it hurt her to see his suffering expression while he ate Sasher. They were always afraid that they would be deprived of the role of snack companions. Shirley had heard this before. It seems that most of the maids serving snacks are daughters of nobles and wealthy merchants, yet still maids. Only the first daughters up to about the third can marry into a good family. Daughters after that are said to be almost no longer valued. Christiana admits they came to the palace because they want to leave their mark and gain recognition. Jacqueline is the same one, but now she has become the leader. It seems she became the leader of Team 4 because of her skills, although she is still so young. Great hopes were placed on Harold, believed she would become the maid who prepares snacks, so she was taught to cook from a young age. Christiana admits she is sure the pressure on Jacqueline is incredible, and she also has a lot of pride, which can cause Jacqueline to suffer greatly. She's not a bad person at all. Shiver ran through Shirley when she said that Jacqueline is a real formidable rival. She tasted the sacker that she had prepared earlier, and it was incredibly delicious, all thanks to the hard work she put in. She will have to work even harder, otherwise she will be overtaken. She pulls the pizza out of the oven and, smiling, says, "The pizza is ready. The last one has cooled a bit, but straight from the oven they are incredible." Jacqueline, hiding in the corner, whispers to herself, "If she calls herself my rival, I'll show her what I'm capable of." Finally, the day has come. Shirley serves pizza to the young gentleman. She has already perfected the recipe to automation. Now she just needs to serve it before it cools and hardens. On snack day, Shirley froze in disbelief when Madame Claire announced that Jacqueline asked Team 5 to start distribution. Madame Adams picked up, asking, "Is everything okay, Jolts?" A sharp scream snapped her out of shock. Embarrassed, she rushed away with the plate and blurted out a hurried yes. Shirley places the pizza in front of the young gentleman, and his jaw almost drops. Even Madame Claire says that this is by no means like a snack. The young gentleman asks how to eat this. They tell him with a smile, "Take it with your hands and start wherever you like." When he tears off a piece, the cheese stretches with it, and this surprises him. He bites and the taste melts on his tongue. Unable to hold back, he exclaims, "Delicious." A huge smile blooms on Shirley's face, and the other girls quickly respond with their smiles. He eagerly grabs another piece and again repeats that it is delicious. He recognizes the cheese and bread, but the sauce confuses him. Shirley explains that it is a special sauce based on ketchup. And he notices something crunchy and aloud wonders what it is. Be sure to look. She turns away and hides her face. She fried the onions, which she chopped as finely as she could, did everything to reduce their smell and sharpness, then added them to the sauce, but the taste was still lacking and she could do nothing about it. But the young gentleman does not stop until he eats the last crumb of pizza. He looks up, eyes wide open, and says, "All eaten," as if others do not see the empty plate themselves. Could it be? Shirley quickly recovers and with a smile says that if he likes it, they have other flavors too. Soon a second pizza appears. On one side a layer of roast beef, on the other shrimp under a pale dressing. He squints and mumbles, "What is that white thing on this side?" Shirley blurts, "Mayonnaise." In a moment the second pizza disappeared too. He sighs almost as if in a dream and says, "It was like a dream, nothing else. I could probably eat more, right?" She stared at him, her mouth open in shock, because she had spent a lot of time making all these different kinds, so they couldn't make as many as usual. Thanks to Jacqueline, this might have turned out to be the best result. Shirley apologizes, quickly saying that it was all the pizza. She energetically waves toward the other dishes with impatient hands and smiles, telling the young gentleman that after a hearty pizza, a little sweetness makes the taste even better, assuring him that the tastiest treats are already waiting for him. Prince nods thoughtfully and says she might be right, he will indeed get it. Jacqueline stands stiffly, jaw clenched. Earlier she told Christiana that she wanted the fifth team's snack served first because she remembered it. He remembered confidently saying that pizza is tastiest fresh from the oven, but now she was twisted inside with despair. Christiana left and revealed her name, Chef. She shudders when Shirley exclaims that she heard everything in today's snack was the best thanks to her. Jacqueline leaned back like a wounded kitten cornered. Shirley asks her, "Why did you do it?" Jacqueline quietly whispered that if everyone agrees, she intends to ask the other teams as well. He frowns and asks why she suddenly wants to cooperate with them. Jacqueline recalls how Shirley called her a formidable rival, and after a pause she whispered that she was sorry for making them participate in that farce last time. Jacqueline admits that since then she has thought it all over and now wants to take her treats more seriously, to give them her whole self, she says, because that is exactly what she should be doing. Namely, that is why she wanted the young gentleman to taste the dishes of Team 5 while they are still hot, even if that means they will serve last. She lit up. She raises her head as soon as Shirley calls her. Shirley looks at her with a gaze full of feelings. Jacqueline's face twisted and she sharply said, "Shirley, don't confuse, I didn't do this for you." And so, with the noise over ketchup and a bit of growing up for both Jacqueline and herself, the pizza challenge finally comes to an end. In the kitchen, Shirley hums right on a steamed cheese bun when someone demands to know what she is doing. She reminded her that they were told an important guest will arrive soon, they need to go out and meet him. They barely make it on time before. And the knight announces the arrival of Lady Ashley from the House of the Blue Rose. Her valet steps forward to help her out of the carriage. Shirley looks surprised, then turns to Anne and they both instantly pass by. They whisper to each other how magnificent she is. She is a noble lady of the highest rank in the kingdom. She is the main contender to become the bride of the young lord. Shirley asks, are they already talking about marriage, pointing out how young they still are, and replies that among the elite it is like this. For the future of the country, the most influential arrange things in advance. Shirley cannot believe her eyes. The young lord already has potential brides, but she convinces herself that it is better not to interfere, so she does nothing rash because everyone constantly tells her that she does something that immediately catches the eye. Madame Adam Clare asks Shirley to go with her, saying she will help carry tea for the guests, but Shirley's face shows she clearly does not like the idea. While serving tea, she watches carefully. The young lady anxiously told the young gentleman that she had been eagerly awaiting the day they would see each other again. The young gentleman looks away and mumbles, "Well, yes, I was waiting for this too." He does not look her in the eyes, and her smile only deepens as she says that perhaps they thought alike. Despite the distance, she is sure that fate draws them together and asks him if he agrees. He simply replies, yes. But as soon as the young master notices that they definitely serve them, his facial expression changes to a sincere smile. Shirley replies that today she is behaving like a true maid and is responsible for the tea. Of course, Lady Ashley notices this, and her face tightens with a frown. In any case, the young gentleman glances at the plate and asks what the black thing is. She confidently tells him that it is hardened chocolate. She has brought him chocolate cream many times as a snack, but this is the first time she gives him solid chocolate. Thanks to agate, she managed to gather a modest harvest for which she is sincerely grateful. The young gentleman picks up a piece of chocolate and examines it carefully, and Shirley warns him that the warmth of his fingers will melt it, so he instantly puts it in his mouth. His face lit up and he exclaimed, "Just as I thought, delicious." Their moment is interrupted when a low, dull hum rolls through the air, undoubtedly. She literally turns around and almost loses her breath. Ashley looks at her without blinking, a gaze so fiery it seems inhuman. Ashley thinks, how dare this maid overshadow her, the main attraction. Truly, it is extremely unpleasant. Ashley's maid sighed as if long accustomed to her whims and suggested taking a walk. The weather is so pleasant. Her smile instantly returns and she quietly whispers, "What a wonderful idea." They ask if you would be so kind as to escort her through the garden, of course. Meanwhile, clearly frozen in place, unable to believe that strange sound really came from the woman's mouth, and more importantly, it seemed like the perfect plan to get rid of the pesky maid and give the two of them a chance to get closer. Plus, it freed her to return to her favorite steamed cheese bun. Truly, what a wonderful assistant. But her triumph is short-lived. The young master agrees that a short walk sounds pleasant. And he turns to Madame Claire, asking to borrow Shirley. The world wobbled. Ashley looks at him, stunned, as if he had stabbed her with invisible knives. Shirley, shocked, cannot understand whether he will go for it. There is absolutely no reason for her to follow him. She expects Madame Claire to object, but Madame only politely agrees. Shirley is at his disposal. So just like that, the old witch throws her away. Ashley noted that the garden was as beautiful as always. Finally, Mia, Lady Ashley's maid, introduced herself and whispered to Shirley with a sincere smile, "Nice to meet you." She gently tells Mia that her name is Shirley. She is a maid and very glad to meet her. Mia thought that Ashley somehow reminded her of some musical troupe from her past life, perhaps because she protects people but at the same time looks incredibly agile. Mia tells her that it seems she is trusted by His Highness, and she feels like she has been in the palace for some time, so she asked Shirley which house she was from, and Shirley sighed. Unfortunately, she is an ordinary person. She came to the palace at the beginning of this spring together with me and Mom. They say about Mia, in just a few months she stood out so much that she won the favor of His Highness. It's astonishing, but she categorically denies it. It's not like that at all. The young lord simply happened to love her simple treats. Ashley tells the young gentleman to look at those flowers over there. He notices them and understands. It is because of them that lately he has been so impatiently waiting for a snack. Finally, he realized that he has an incredibly rich imagination. It uses ingredients he has never seen before, and it sincerely ignites his appetite. All right, Shirley wants him not to behave like that and asks herself, "What about Ashley?" she says. He tells him that the flowers look so beautiful, and they have. They also smell incredible. He replies that it's true, they are beautiful and smell nice. Ashley agrees with him, he meant. He says the best way to enjoy it is just to run around the garden. Ashley asks what he means before he grabs Shirley's hand and starts running with her. He still doesn't understand why he does that afterwards. After some time, she asks him if he should act like that, and he answers that he knew he needed to get along with Ashley, but he was deadly bored talking to her. He tells her that she will say that these flowers are so beautiful, or that these jewels were given to her by her father, or that fate brought them together, so he can't play this show-off game anymore. It's unbearably boring next to her. She understands why he acted that way, and indeed, at his age, the empty talks of a young girl must be too boring. She asks him if this means that he does not love Ashley. He replies that he would not go that far. Her family and position make her a suitable candidate for queen consort. She knows for sure he really looks like he does not care at all. Ashley is furious and cannot understand what that maid is allowing herself today. She was supposed to shine, not her. Ashley is seething with anger when Mia directly tells her that she is good for nothing. Mia apologizes to her. Ashley wonders how Shirley won the young lord's favor. Mia tells her that His Highness seems to be simply enchanted by the treats she prepared. She finally understands. The castle maids are the ones who bring the treats, and the young lord simply adores sweets. That's how she won his favor. Mia tells her that they should serve their snacks and talk to him, but Ashley decides to kick her out to outdo her in making treats. She goes and tells all the maids that this is why today they will come at snack time and each must fight Mia. The maids cannot believe that she seriously intends to arrange a fight during snack time. She yells at them, saying she meant a battle for the snacks and Mia. She is a servant who serves in the house, so her treats are first class. They will have to ask the young lord to decide whether her treats or the peasants are better, and if they lose, they will be fired. Shirley is stunned. What kind of strange rule is this? She realizes that she has finally gotten used to palace life and even started experimenting with her own recipes. One of the maids apologized to Ashley, saying she was sorry, but she didn't think she had the authority for that. Ashley got angry and ordered her to be quiet. Ashley hisses at Shirley that today only she and Mia will serve the snack, and as soon as Shirley loses, she will be kicked out of the palace, and that was dis. They decided so that she wouldn't hear any objections. Ashley calls Mia forward and throws, "Show what you are capable of." All the other maids froze because they realized that today they would not be able to serve, and Mia steps forward and calmly says she will borrow their kitchen for a short time. No, even she doesn't want to do that, trying to apologize to Shirley. All the maids asked Shirley what she had done, and realizing that Ashley simply hated her, they began to ask if she would really be fired. She insists that everyone calm down. She understands well that things look bad right now. She herself has no idea what to do. Everything happened so suddenly. Moreover, she knows well that Mia is a terrible opponent. She immediately oriented herself in the kitchen, and her technique is simply incredible. She begins to worry and gets confused. She doesn't have time to cook anything. She has served him before and is sure that Mia's snack will be something new and unique for the young master, and she has no time at all. All the other maids pity her and really want to help her with something. They don't know what to do, but one of the servants says that Shirley is the one who will serve something, so they can't do anything. Just then one servant comes up with an idea and says that although Shirley may be the only one serving, Ashley didn't say they couldn't help her. Everyone immediately understands she is right. If they do not sell anything, they have time, and they are all in the same boat. They decide to help her. They say they will unite their efforts and defeat them. They know with the help of the older sisters they will become invincible, so they need to come up with something that will stick to that girl. Shirley thinks about a treat that will win, and she won. She wonders if now is really the right time for her to do this. She loudly addressed everyone and announced that from now on she will prepare a snack that will carry the young master and Ashley into a world of wonders. Doing this is really difficult. She cannot manage alone. She begs everyone, please lend her your strength. After some time, it is time to serve the snacks. Ashley smiles and tells the young master that today her maid has prepared something just for him, so he should boldly compare it with his usual lunch. Having asked the lady if this is correct, she replies, "Yes, I have already been informed about the progress of the case." Ashley tells him that her arrival will give them a start. Mia brings them a snack and says that it is a quiche. It is a pastry. The dough is baked in a mold and filled with fruits and a delicate cream made from eggs and sugar. This delicacy is favored among the nobility. The young gentleman says that he really likes them, that he takes a bite and finds them very tasty, so he definitely swallows. The sauce, she felt its simplicity immediately. The most important thing here is the chef's class, because the quality of the dough and cream truly determines the taste, so what Mia prepared is undoubtedly a pastry of the highest grade. Ashley noticed that he really liked her dish, and he said that he would gladly eat more. However, he will hold back for now. There is still so much ahead. Maids look at each other and wonder if they can really surpass this. She sincerely knows that Mia is truly very skilled, but this time she was helped by her sisters. All that remains is to proudly raise her head and serve. She sincerely thanks the young gentleman for waiting and tells him that, "Who would have thought today for a snack exactly those pancakes with which I teased the princess?" Both Ashley and the young master are stunned. Take a bite completely. This completely stunned me. Ashley considers it extraordinarily tasty. The young master also says that it is soft and fluffy, and adds that everything on the plate is so delightful. Still, he asks Shirley, "What is this?" He tells him that this is ice cream. She smiles and tells him that he can eat it as is, or together with the pancakes he takes. He bites and suddenly feels, it is so cold and sweet. This is exactly vanilla ice cream, a dish made from usual ingredients, sugar, milk, and eggs, but the freezer in the palace is not so usual. Whenever she had a free moment, she experimented with making cream, thus she developed a guilty pleasure of eating ice cream before bed, but she could predict what would happen if she served it to the young master. And today she finally has the opportunity to serve it to him as a highlight of the dish. The young gentleman cannot believe it. It looks like ice, but it is something completely different. Sweet, melts in the mouth, and even refreshes. He enthusiastically tells her that she has truly outdone herself. She replies that, however, she considers it an honor. But she would not have managed alone. It was only possible because all the maids worked together. She knows that this is right. Such a luxurious dish could only be prepared through the joint efforts of everyone, and she is sincerely grateful, she says. She tells everyone that they did a great job. Ashley got terribly angry and shouted at Mia, saying that she made a laughingstock out of her, and all because of that boring appetizer. Mia drops to her knees and sincerely apologizes to Ashley. Ashley got insanely angry, grabbed me like a dessert, and threw me in anger. He says that it is trash, yet at the last moment he caught it. The maid became worried about Shirley. She suddenly realizes that the dessert is smashed. She says that this is Mia's first serious blunder in an unfamiliar place. Thinking about Mia and the young gentleman, she considers it a pity if it simply falls to the ground. She bit off a piece and it turned out incredibly tasty. Ashley got so angry that the young gentleman called Shirley and asked her what made her decide to serve exactly what she served. She tells him this because, of course, she wanted Ashley and the young gentleman to have a wonderful time. Of course, she wasn't doing it for victory. She was doing it to have fun simply because she wanted to. She wanted to give them something to talk about, that is. That's why she baked pancakes to transport them to a wonderland. She hoped that whatever they ate, it would spark conversation. Ashley asks her she did it for her despite her unreasonable demands. The young gentleman asked Ashley with interest what she liked most on this plate. She tells him that she likes this white, cold thing and the tiara is also so beautiful. He says that he also thought it was wonderful. The candy looked beautiful and tasted deli. It was also tasty, so he asks her if she tried it with chocolate, and she tells him. She tells him no, I haven't done that, but he still says. He tells her try it, He thanks him very much and tears appear in her eyes. Later, Ashley apologizes to Shirley, she says. He tells him that the young gentleman ignored her, so she got irritated and took it out on her. So much happened, but she is happy that Ashley is now in a good mood, and the fuss over the battle has finally settled down too. Ashley also tells her that those pancakes were very tasty and asks if she will make them again for her. Shirley replies that of course she will do it. That Mia also told Shirley she really was as impressive as she imagined herself to be, and so caring towards them despite their challenge. Shirley tells her that she is also too kind, notes Mia. That she is truly a wonderful woman and definitely gives a kiss on the cheek. Cheeks having told her that she would like to get to know her better, she then walks away. She leaves and Shirley stands there, cheeks burning with embarrassment. Glad that all that fuss passed without incident, but how annoying that Ashley and her companion are. In the servants' bath, the girls stood confused, not knowing what to do. They asked if they were still talking about it. If the young master commands, they have no choice but to obey. It's not that simple. After that last incident, the young man. One master told her that he wants to eat ice cream to his heart's content, and next time, for a snack, there should be only ice cream, so Shirley thought deeply. She knows well, if she just treats him to ice cream, he will eat it without measure, spoil his stomach, and her neck can be considered doomed. Yet she cannot allow the young master to suffer because of this. One of the maids tells her to simply tell him when she serves it. She answers. If he is smart, he will say no way, so she is sure he will understand, but once the ice cream appears, all logic flies out the window. The maid does not believe it can really be that tasty. She tells her that she has already served him tons of treats, so why does this one make him throw logic out the window? Shirley said she expected them to say that, so she prepared a little. They give it to them, think it's harder than it seems, and bite. They say with enthusiasm that it is tasty and cold. They used to eat ice cream before, but it was completely different. The cold just melts in her mouth. From the edges it is already starting to melt. They really like all the parts. Shirley is not sure if she really put it. They are now thinking about when they can have it again. She tells them that is exactly why this ice cream is so terrible. Once you try it, there is no going back. They understand what she meant. She insists repeatedly, that is exactly what I said. And there is also chocolate, strawberry, and a bunch of other flavors, but they brush it off and say they don't want to think about it and stop talking about it already. They understand why she is so worried. After all, it is so cold there and it mostly consists of water, right? If the young gentleman eats at such a pace, he will definitely spoil his stomach, so they ask her if she knows what to do. She answers that she can, but she needs a special mold and a certain frying pan. They ask in surprise what kind of band, and she says the one that is not sold here. They reply that it is almost the same as if it does not exist. One of them said that he knows someone who can help with such a matter, and he is currently not very busy. They, like phantoms, wander the palace myth and wonder if they are really destined to meet. They tell her that everything is fine. She comes here constantly when she needs tools and support, because their main business is making weapons and armor, but the kingdom is at peace, there is almost no work, and she calls Anton at the very moment he is informed. The witch is calling him. He suddenly appears and calls out to her, asking if she needs another tool for working in the field. She says. He directly tells him that today his client is someone else. Shirley greets him warmly, says she is pleased to meet him, and adds that she is a maid. But he is completely stunned she is. She wonders what is wrong with him. He leads Anna to that place and she asks what is wrong with him. When she says that he should at least introduce himself properly, he replies that next to such a beauty as she is, he is nothing, and besides she is a servant, so he cannot even look her straight in the eyes and asks to be left alone. She indignantly says that this is very rude, he did not even blink. With her, she pushes him back so that he comes to her. Looking at her, he is unable to utter a word. He asks her if she needs anything, and adds that if she needs a knife, he will make it very sharp. One is so sharp that it would even cut through a cutting board. She replies that it would be bad if she cut through both the board and her own hand, and today she's not here for a knife. She tells him that she would like to have a baking mold of a certain design. He asks her as if thinking to himself, a baking mold is where you pour the mixture and then bake, right? If the heat distributes unevenly, that's bad, so you can just adjust the thickness in different places to make the heating even on a ponders. Here he is again, he always grumbles, but that's exactly how he becomes once he starts doing something. Nava says to Shirley, I am like that too. She wonders, does he really not notice what is happening around him when he creates something new? I wonder if she will leave everyone behind and dive into her own world. He realizes that she is the same, he asks. He approaches her, says that it is possible, and asks when she wants it done. She expresses both gratitude and meanness. Meanwhile, it's time for a snack. Shirley greets the young gentleman, they sway. He realized that he has already tasted the ice cream and hopes that it will meet his expectations. She reassured that everything will be fine and that they just need to start serving on plates, she thanks. He smiles and thanks the young gentleman for waiting, adding that today's snack is ice cream, exactly what he wanted. He tells her that he was waiting for this and can eat as much ice cream as he wants. He looks closely and says that he sees the ice cream, but what to do with that quirky container she put there. She tells him that this vessel is called a cone. He is allowed to hold the ice cream in his hand and enjoy it. A spoon is not needed, he can eat its contents right from the cone. Moreover, the cone itself. It is edible and he finds it an interesting creation, she says. He tells him to take from there, knowing that the first stage is already behind. He begins to eat it as cold, and just as he always expected. And he bites off the cone and feels that it is truly crunchy. He thinks that this is a very interesting shape and asks her how she made it. She says that they are made by frying a thin layer of dough on a pan, then rolling it while it is still warm. She is not here now, she made cones in a different way, not using a mole. She also used a batter made from egg whites and flour. She poured it in a thin layer onto a frying pan, fried it on both sides, removed it while still hot and quickly rolled it up, reheated it. After a short wait and it solidified in shape, acquiring a crispy texture. He tells her that she always comes up with such exciting ideas. She was illuminated by ideas and she asks, maybe we try this next and give it something else.